bagian atau unsur yang penting bagi para jurnalis untuk menyajikan suatu berita. Jadi berita itu akan menjadi lebih akurat dan lebih terpercaya. Di satu sisi buat para audiens, data itu menjadi hal yang juga untuk memperoleh gambaran yang lebih detail dan tentunya yang lebih pasti terkait sesuatu hal. Nah, lalu bagaimana sih kita sebagai jurnalis bisa memaksimalkan tools-tools dari Google tersebut untuk memperoleh data yang lebih akurat dan terpercaya? Untuk itu, sebelum kita mengundang pembicara utama kita, mari kita undang Trina Leong. Dia yang mewakili Google News Initiative. So I would like to welcome Trina Leong from a representative from Google News Initiative to introduce what is Google's News Initiative and what kind of tools that we can use. Hi Trina. Yeah, you're still mute.
Sorry. Hai, selamat siang teman-teman di Indonesia. Nama saya Trina. Saya merupakan pelatih Asia Tenggara untuk Google News Initiative. Jadi hari ini saya cuma ingin mengambil makan masa 5 minit hanya untuk memperkenalkan apa itu Google News Initiative. Secara amnya kita semua tahu apa itu Google, dan salah satu bahagian atau divisi dalam Google ialah Google News Initiative, di mana apa yang kami lakukan ialah kami akan bekerjasama dengan para wartawan, jurnalis dan juga media-media termasuk di Indonesia, media-media di Indonesia, bagaimana kami boleh membantu rakan-rakan kami di media dalam bidang media untuk memperbaiki audiens mereka dan juga memperbaiki juga konten-konten yang mereka lakukan. Jadi dalam jurusan ini ialah konten yang pertama, advancing the practice and of quality journalism ini ialah salah satu perkara yang kami lakukan ialah kami memberi pelatihan secara percuma kepada rakan-rakan media di seluruh dunia termasuk Indonesia. Jadi jika anda mempunyai sebarang permintaan untuk mendapatkan pelatihan secara percuma dari Google, kami boleh lakukannya dalam bahasa Inggeris dan juga bahasa Indonesia. Dan di sini ialah kamu boleh lihat ialah kami terdapat satu training manual, iaitu manual pelatihan di mana kami akan menjelaskan tools-tools peralatan seperti Google Search Operator, juga Google Trends, Google Alerts, dan bagaimana kita boleh mengarchive laman-laman web, dan juga bagaimana kita boleh mengguna Google Earth dan Earth Studio. Dan salah satu lagi lah kita memfokus kepada jurusan digital verifikasi, iaitu fact checking. Di sini kami adalah bekerjasama bersama AJI untuk menjalankan sesi-sesi workshop verifikasi di seluruh Indonesia. Jadi mungkin kamu juga telah pernah menghadiri sesi-sesi oleh AJI. Jika tidak, anda boleh bercakap dengan saya. Email saya ada di bawah sini, dan saya juga boleh berkonekkan anda kepada AJI. Dan untuk hari ini ialah anda akan melalui kursus ialah data journalism dan visualisasi. Yang ini adalah latihan yang akan dijalankan sebentar lagi oleh teman kami Pak Keng, adalah salah seorang trainer. Dan di sini anda boleh mempelajari bagaimana anda boleh mencari data dan bagaimana anda boleh membentuk cerita data anda, mengemaskan data anda dan akhirnya memvisualisasi data anda. Dan kami juga ada lagi khusus-khusus lain seperti podcast. Pinpoint ialah satu peralatan yang kita gunakan oleh kebanyakan media apabila mereka mau melakukan investigative stories, dan juga environmental journalism tools, digital security dan juga mobile journalism. Jadi ini merupakan salah satu topik-topik yang kami akan ajar dalam yang di-cover oleh dalam Google News Initiative. Jadi jika anda mempunyai sebarang permintaan oleh balai berita, jadi kita akan berikan training-training sebegini. Seperti hari ini ialah Forwat telah membuat request tersebut, jadi kami akan lakukan training tersebut. So this is just a general overview idea. So I hope this gives you a picture apa yang Google News Initiative lakukan dan bagaimana anda boleh memaksimalkan peluang-peluang untuk mendapatkan pelatihan secara percuma. Dengan itu saya akan pass the ball back kepada Cindy. Cindy, you can take it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Trina. It looks amazing ya. I mean the tools for Google Tools. Saya sendiri yang dulu mantan jurnalis juga baru tahu ternyata banyak banget Google Tools yang bisa dipakai buat jurnalis ya untuk mendukung kegiatan mencari berita. Anyway, nah sekarang kita akan segera mengundang pembicara yang sudah kompeten banget nih di dunia jurnalisme data. Beliau itu adalah Kuek Ser Kuang Keng. Mungkin kita bisa panggil Pak Keng ya, or Keng. Jadi saat ini beliau bekerja sebagai data editor di Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting di Kuala Lumpur di Malaysia. Jadi Keng ini selain sebagai jurnalis, dia juga merupakan seorang trainer atau konsultan bagi para jurnalis dan media terkait data journalism. So I would like to invite Mr. Keng, who currently working as a data editor at Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Keng, I think the session is on yours now.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih, Cindy. Selamat siang, good afternoon. Selamat datang. Welcome to the workshop today. Let me share my screen now. All right. So today we are going to spend the next 3 hours to talk about data journalism. Usually, when I give a data journalism workshop to journalists, it takes at least 5 days. Okay, 5 days or 40 hours. So for 3 hours, what I can do here is an introduction, to try to explain the best of my ability, what is data journalism. So at least you all have a general idea of what is data journalism. And if you want to explore further about data journalism, we can arrange for a deep dive into this subject. We're going to do 3 days or 5 days, right? GNI also offers workshops like that. Okay, so for today, we are going. The workshop is divided into 2 parts. The first part will take about 1 hour, and then we'll take a 10 minutes break. The first part would be mostly about what is data journalism, and I will show you about 10 examples, some of my favorite data journalism projects from all around the world. And the second part of the workshop, we will do some practical exercises. Okay, we will try to convert a PDF to a spreadsheet, work on a spreadsheet, and then also we try to make a chart using some data out there. So if you are on your mobile phone, it would be good if you can switch to a laptop or a computer in the second part of the workshop, because we are going to use Google Sheets to work on some data. Okay. Throughout the workshop, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. You can ask in Bahasa, you can ask in English. I can understand both languages, shouldn't be a problem. So just I will stop from time to time to check out the chat box, right? If you have any comments, you can put in there as well, right? Let's try to have a dialogue instead of me talking for 1 hour. It's very tiring. Okay. Okay. So yeah, just now thanks Cindy for introducing me. Actually, I run my own company that do consultancy as well as training on data journalism, based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Okay, so here are some of the newsrooms that we work with, some newsrooms, some news agencies that we work with throughout the past 6 years. At the same time, I also split my time as a data editor for the Rainforest Investigation Network established by the Pulitzer Center. which is a non-profit based in Washington, D.C. But I myself based in Kuala Lumpur. All right, so let's move on to what is data journalism. Okay, the straightforward answer is journalism done with data. Okay, besides from this, what else? Maybe anyone can share in the chat box. Is this the first time you heard about data journalism? Okay. Okay, some of you said yes. Okay, if this is the first time, what do you think data journalism is? What do you think data journalism is? Besides from journalism done with data. There's no wrong or right answer. Okay, Ika said that is reporting or writing something based on data. Reporting or write something, okay. Make news consists of some data, okay. Anyone else? Okay, let us think about this question. If data journalism is reporting based on data, right? Did you consider share market reporting as data journalism? Share market, okay? If you write about, let's say today the share went up 5%. Sorry, nowadays it went down 5% because of the war in Ukraine. Is that considered data journalism? Okay, Cindy said yes. Okay. What about others? If the reporting, involve just any numbers or data, let's say I report that let's say Tesla just released the annual report. It made a profits of 5 billion per year, for example. Okay, Albert said that yes, but not sure. Ika said that no, because it's just they're stating facts without analysis. Okay, so now we have another element, right? According to Ika, is that you need to have analysis. That's why you call it data journalism. Any other thoughts? Did you consider any reports that have data, that have numbers, they have data as data journalism? Some of you are still thinking. Okay, so I don't have the correct answer, for what is data journalism. Okay, I don't think there is a clear definition, just like how you define what a human being is. Okay, we know that human being, you need to have the human DNA and all this thing. But for data journalism, right, it's quite an open concept that is, it can be different things for different people. But I will share with you, what I think is data journalism, my version of data journalism as a data journalist that have been producing data journalism for the past 5 years. Okay, I have my own, preference of what is data journalism. Okay, it's definitely not end report with numbers. Okay, I prefer a much narrow definition of data journalism. Okay, but let's look at some of the
Kemudian pertanyaan dari
definition.
juga, tapi buat Mas Erwin, adakah syarat produk kita bisa tampil di halaman awal?
Is somebody trying to say something? Or just accidentally unmute? Okay, I think we're okay. If you have any questions, let me know. So according to one definition, by Aaron Pilhofer, who is a professor and a lecturer, and also he himself is a data journalist based in the US. He's currently teaching at the Temple University in the US. Right? Data, the first one, data can be the source of data journalism, or it can be the tool with which the story is told, or it can be both. Okay, so this data, just remember that data can be the source of data journalism. It can also be the tool of data journalism, right? You use data as a source or as a tool to tell your story. Now, that is data journalism. Okay, so is reporting with numbers considered as data journalism? If according to this definition, yes, right? Because data is your source. Okay, and when you say that, I am a data journalist, so what do you mean by that? Data journalism is very different from traditional journalists, right? Because data journalists, we do things like, the second line here, the third line here, sorry, the gathering, the cleaning, the organizing, analyzing, visualizing, and publishing data. Okay, so we all have to do all this thing, right? These are the steps involved in data journalism. But at the end, we are doing that to support the creation of acts of journalism, which means we are doing it for journalism. So this differentiates us from using data science for, let's say, e-commerce, data science for marketing, or maybe your social media editor that use data from your websites, from Google Analytics, to optimize the stories, the appearance, or to optimize your social media posts, right? That is different. That is not data journalism, right? So here we do data, we use data as a source or as a tool to tell the story, and for the purpose of doing journalism, okay, which is reporting, right? So I would like to shift your attention to another concept, right? We talk about data journalism. I think all of us know what is journalism. We have been doing journalism. What about data? What is data? Anyone has any quick answer? What is data? What is data? Ika said it's a set. There are sets of value. Okay, sets of value. So which means, individual number is not data because they are not in sets. Okay, if I understand it correctly. Any other thoughts? What is data? Data is data. Let's talk about data almost like every day. And nowadays, everyone is talking about, data, big data, small data, data science, data engineering, things like that. What is data? What do you think is data? If anyone asks you, okay, how do you define data? How would you answer that? Something related with numbers, years, historical numbers that are useful for our story. Okay, numbers, years, historical numbers. Maybe you are thinking about quantitative information, right? Something that you can count, some numbers that you can count. Any other thoughts? What is data? Information that strengthen our story, facts, city. So is facts considered as data? I'm not sure about that. Facts is like the earth is flat. It's a fact, right? Is that data? Probably not, right? All humans will die, right? That's a fact. Okay, Anatasha said that text or numbers that give an information. Okay, let's look at a traditional definition of data. Okay, data is structured information. When we say structured information, it means it is repeatable in a predictable structure, not just numbers, right? So it includes numbers, but not only numbers, right? it is information, but not all information. It is information that has a structure. A structure means that the information is repeatable. Not just repeatable, but repeatable in a predictable structure. Well, that's a bit confusing, right? Let me just give you an example. Okay, let's say you have, I'm not sure about Indonesian, right? Do you have a national identity card to prove that you are a citizen? Yes. Are there some information on your card, like you have your full name, right? You will also have your, do you have your address? Date address? Is there a series of numbers, like an ID number?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Right. So it's very similar to what we Malaysian have, right? So those are information, right? You can see the numbers are numbers, right? But the name are not numbers. The name are ABC alphabets, right? But the names is also data. But why is it we consider that as a data? Because it is structured information, right? Structured information means that for every identity card, you will have the same information. Okay, if you give me your identity card, without looking at it, I know there's a name, there's an address, there's an ID number. So this is predictable. I can predict the information in the card, okay? And it is repeatable in all identity cards. So that is structured information. And structured information can include text, can include numbers. It can also include images. For example, I have satellite imagery, okay? Satellite imagery. I know that if I look at the satellite imagery of a certain location, I know that is predictable because I know that I can find coordinates from the satellite images. I can also find, if the images is to measure, let's say, air pollution, okay, is to measure temperature, right? So I'll be able to extract the same information in all the satellite images. So those are also data, right? So think about this, okay? Structured information that is repeatable in a predictable structure. So that is data. So now we have a clear, so one single number is not data, right? You need to have a repeatable and in the structural manner, then you can consider those data, right? So in that sense, right, a lot of data, a lot of numbers are actually not data, right? Okay, so why, just now we talked about what is data, what is journalism, what is data journalism, but why are we talking about data journalism in the past, probably the past 10 years? It has become a hot topic within journalism, not because of that, not just because of that, but also a lot of newsrooms and journalists are investing more and more resources into data journalism. I think 2 days ago, I saw an announcement by New York Times. They make an announcement that they are going to expand their data journalism team. They already have one of the biggest data journalism teams in the world, right? Among all the newsrooms, but they are investing and expanding their data journalism team. So why is that people are doing that? Okay, here are series of reasons. Okay, you can read that yourself, and I think you know that it is happening now. But I just want to draw your attention to this example. Okay, this is a very interesting example. What is this? This is actually a device installed outside of a public toilet in China. Okay, for those who can't read Chinese, right? Maybe you can make a guess. What is it for? It's a device outside of the public toilet. So before you go into the public toilet, you will see this device. Can you have a guess? What does it do? Albert said key to enter. No, public toilet, everyone can enter.
So like they will know who have already entered the room, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no door, there's nothing stopping you from entering the toilet. So you can just enter without looking at this device. Yeah, any other guesses? Can you see like the small signs here? The last one, especially the last one.
The toilet paper.
That's the clue. What is this? Any other answers? Come on. Yes, Albert. I think you are qualified to be a public toilet manager. Yes, this is the toilet paper dispenser. Every time when you want to take a piece of toilet paper, you scan the QR code on the device with your mobile phone. Once you scan it, it will give you one piece of toilet paper, and then you can use the toilet paper. Right? So it's free toilet paper, but you have to scan it. Okay, now my next question is, why do you think they want you to scan the QR code? Then only they'll give you the paper. Why can't they just, do something like you press and take a paper? Why do they want you to scan the QR code before they give you a piece of paper? Let's see who can be a better public toilet manager. Think about it. If you are a manager, right? Why do you want people to scan the QR code? I'll give you a clue, right? What happened when your mobile phone scanned the QR code? What happened? Habiba said we need the data. So when you scan the QR code, there's an exchange of information, right? Between your device and between your mobile phone and the toilet dispenser. There's a change of information. So the change of information helps the public toilet manager, right, to collect data from you. Okay, what kind of data do you think they can collect? Or how can you better manage your public toilet if you have the data? Think about data of people coming in, going out. How can this data help you to manage your toilets? Okay, Siti mentioned that how many toilet papers used. Yes, correct. So that I know on average, how many pieces of toilet papers everyone use when they enter the public toilet. Okay. Any other thing? Any other? So that I can also know that how much paper left in the dispenser. So I know when should I refill the dispenser, right? Okay. What else? Anything else? Besides from how many toilet papers used, what else can you get? And how can you use the data to better manage your toilet? Yeah, you guys are technology reporter, right? Not public health reporter, right? Average time people spend in the toilet, Yogi. Unless you ask the person to scan the QR code again before they leave. If not, you won't be able to know how much time they spend. Am I right? Okay. Because if you want to know how much time they spend, they go in, they scan, they go out, have to scan. Cindy, yes, Cindy mentioned that how many toilet paper used per person? Okay. Let's just think about it, right? I will be able to know how much toilet paper each person used. I will also know how many people use the toilet. Okay, because most of the people, when they see there's a free toilet paper, they will scan, they'll take the paper, then before they go in, right? So you will know how many visits. Okay, you can even know how many times a person use public toilet every day. Because when you scan the QR code, they know this is mobile phone A, This is different from mobile phone B. Okay, so when mobile phone A scan the QR code, let's say 4 times a day, which means that person used the mobile phone 4 times a day. So I will be able to know to better manage my toilets, my public toilets, because I will know that when I have new budget, when I have new budget to build new toilets, I know where are the areas that have high demand of public toilets. Okay, I also know what is the demand, what is the difference between the toilets for men and women, right? I also know how frequent should I send my cleaners to clean the toilet based on the use, based on how many times the toilet is used. Okay, so I use this example just to show you that nowadays in our society, we collect every single little data about everyone. Okay, if we collect data, to manage public toilets, we collect data to manage our country, and we collect data of very granular data, which means that including when did you go to sleep, how much time you spend on road, because you are using a mobile phone with you 24 hours a day. So I know exactly your daily lives, how it looks like. I know where do you travel to every day, travel to when you come back. I know I know where you stay because there's geolocation data on your mobile phone. I know what time you go to sleep. That is when you don't interact with your mobile phone anymore, which means you are sleeping, right? I know when you wake up because for many people, the first thing they wake up is to check their mobile phone, right? So you can imagine our life, all our personal data, right, are being monitored and collected, including how many pieces of toilet papers that you use. Are you a person that you use a lot of toilet papers, or you just use one piece is enough? Even this kind of very public, very private information about yourself is being collected. Okay, so the government is collecting it, right, to better manage the country. Okay, the politicians are collecting it to get your vote during elections, right, for campaigning. The private companies are collecting data about you to sell you their products or to sell advertisement. Google, Facebook, they are all advertisement company. Okay, they actually collect information and they sell you information, right? So if everyone is doing data, right, to trying to use the power of data to influence our life, to change our life, how can we as journalists do not know about data? We're supposed to report about what is happening in the society and inform our readers, right? So that they can make better informed decisions, right? So that they can improve their life with the information that we provide them. When everyone, not everyone, right, but all the big corporation, governments, politicians, right, are collecting data and to use the data to influence us, we as journalists, it is our responsibility to understand data and to report about data to inform our readers, our society, right? Makes sense, right? Okay, so that is part of the reason why data journalism has become a trend right now, because it's not just report about data. We also can use the power of data to improve our reporting, to better inform our readers. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples, right, of how journalists use data to better inform their readers. Okay, let's look at this story. This is a very interesting story done by Tagesspiegel, which is a German newspaper in Germany. So these are all in German. However, I'm able to translate to English. Okay, just to show you. Hold on. No, sorry guys, this is not what I want to show you. Sorry. Let's go back to the home page. This one. Yep, this is a story about cycling in Berlin, okay, in the city of Berlin. So in the city of Berlin, there is a huge issue or argument between cyclists and the police. Okay, is this cyclists complain that when they're cycling in Berlin, many cars overtake them, right? And the distance between the car and the bicycle when the overtaking is happening is too small, which means the car get too close to the bicycle when the car is overtaking the cyclist. So I just show you this. Let me just quickly show you this here. Okay, so when the car is overtaking, right? When the car is overtaking, it is too close to the cyclist. When it is less than 1 meter and 100 cm, 1 meter, right? It is considered a traffic offense because you are getting too close to the cyclist. You are endangering the cyclist. So the police, if caught by the police can fine you. Okay. So the cyclists complain that, right, there are a lot of this kind of illegal overtaking they experience on the streets. But the police argue that no, it's not very serious because we did not issue a lot of fines for this kind of offenses. Okay, so how do we know whether this is a serious problem that the government or the police should take should pay serious attention, or this is something that is exaggerated by the cyclists? How do we know that? We need to collect data about this, right? But data collected by police show that it's not very serious because the police did not issue many fines, right, against these kind of offenses in Berlin. So what happened is that Tagesspiegel worked with the tech company to assemble a sensor. You can see on the top of the handlebar of the bicycle, there's a sensor. The sensor, every time when a car overtake the cyclist, the sensor would measure the distance between the bicycle and the car and take a picture of the car. Okay, so when this car overtake you, then the sensor will know how far the car from you and take a picture. And this data would be sent to Tagesspiegel newsroom, right? Sent to the journalists. And the journalists, they prepare 100 sensors, okay, and ask their readers, if you are a cyclist who cycle to work, to school every day, please be our volunteer. We will give you this device, you will put it on your handlebar, and you collect information for us. The information will be sent, the data will be sent to the newsrooms automatically using Wi-Fi. Okay, so they give this devices, this sensor, to 100 cyclists, and this 100 cyclists just decide they have that on their bicycle and they cycle to school, to work every day, right? And throughout the 100 volunteer cyclists, right, they recorded, you can see this is the total number of overtaking. How many thousand? 16,000, 16,000, yeah, 16,000 of overtaking, right? At most of the locations, you can see this, the blue dots, those are the locations where the overtaking happening. Okay, out of this 16,000, right, about 9,000 of them are under 150 centimeter. 150 centimeter means this is illegal, means this is an offense because it's too close to the bicycle. Just now I said it's 100, right? So I was wrong. It should be 1.5 meter. Okay, so out of the 16,000, 9,000 are considered illegal overtaking. Is this a serious problem? Yes, right. Because it's more than half of the overtaking are considered, illegal or dangerous. Okay. Then about 3,000 overtaking are under 100, 1 meter. There are about 200 are under 50 centimeters. 50 centimeters, you can imagine, is very, very close, right? So it's very, very, very extremely dangerous. All right, and then they will show you it happens in all different areas in the city of Berlin. Okay, the yellow, orange, and the red colors are considered illegal overtaking. Okay, dangerous overtaking. So you can see it is distributed in all different areas in the city of Berlin. Okay, Let me just show you. It happened during every time, right? In the day, during the day. You can see this is from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m., right? You will see the illegal overtaking happening, at every hours. Okay, I'll quickly go to jump to the other part of it. This is just to show you how the sensor works, right? When it's overtaking, it detects the vehicle, take a picture, and measure the distance, right? Measure the distance. So when you wear a vest, right? When the cyclists wear a vest, right? The car would not, get further from you. You'll still experience the same number of overtaking. If you wear a helmet, okay, it is still the same. The car would not move away or move closer to you. If you are an elder, okay, if you are older people cycling, right, there's no difference as well. If you are a woman, no difference. If you have a kids at the back of your bicycle, right, then yes, there is a very slight difference, just 8.4 centimeters further from you. The car would move further from you, but just 8.4 centimeters. So they collected the data, of those, who have kids, who are wearing a helmet, who wear a vest, right? But they found that, there's not much difference whether you have a kids at back or not, And then if all these illegal overtakings are fined by the police would be able to earn an extra income of almost 300,000 euro. That's a lot of money, right? So this is actually a serious issue, but the police overlook it because the police did not, issue a lot of fines on these offenses. Okay, so you can look at, the whole story about, about the special investigation. What I just show you is just part of it, right? There's a huge, there are like 1, 2, 3 until 9 parts of it. It's a 9-part series. I only show you the 7th part of it. Okay. So what I want to show you here is that this is a very good data journalism project because it used data to find stories that would never have been found, right? If you don't look at the data, if you don't collect the data, analyze the data, right, you won't be able to know how serious the problem is. Okay, and this is a very convincing data story because once you collected the data, you do the reporting, then you can show, now you have the evidence to show to the police to say, hey, this is a serious issue. We think that you should take action, right? A lot of times our public policies, right, when we debate about public policies, we don't show any evidence. We don't have any data to back up our arguments. But if we are able to collect data and to analyze the data in this case, then it is a very strong argument to do that. Right? So this is one of the my favorite data stories because it solves real problem. Right? It first measure the problem and trying to solve the problem. Okay. So let's look at second story. Yeah. This is a story that was done by me last year. Okay, this is about misinformation in Malaysia. Okay, so what happened is that I want to know how many disinformation have been spread in Malaysia. Okay, during the anti-government protests in Hong Kong in 2019 to 2020. Okay, so we know that during this period, right, there were a lot of media reports about the protests in Hong Kong. And in Malaysia, right, especially the Chinese-speaking communities, right, for them, it is a huge issue, right? And this issue, there are a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and hoax happening, and also propaganda, okay, happening about the protests, right? Some say that, okay, this is, it's a conspiracy by the US, right? It is to destabilize the Hong Kong And some say that, those police are involved with, gangsters and things like that, right? So there are a lot of disinformation campaigns going on during the protests. And a lot of this information have actually spread in Malaysia, right? So I use this as a case study. I want to know how this information was distributed on social media in Malaysia. So what I did is that I collected over 11,000 posts from Facebook page, right? From Facebook pages. And I analyzed them one by one to see whether there are any disinformation and who are the players behind the distribution of the disinformation. So I used chart like this to show, for example, just go back. Sorry. For example, this is actually a disinformation started in China by one of the state-owned Chinese newspaper. And from there, it then spread to another state-owned newspaper, right? And eventually it reached, the yellow dots means that the local newspapers in Malaysia. The information started in China and reached the local newspapers in Malaysia. After that, it was spread to the Facebook pages in Malaysia, the blue dots. Okay, so again, this is a data-driven report because I collected all the data, analyzed them, and from the data, I was able to illustrate, or I was able to visualize the distribution path, how the misinformation actually reached Malaysia all the way from China, and who are the players behind them. So what I found is that the local newspapers play the role as an importer, as a disinformation importer, and the local Facebook pages serve as an amplifier of this disinformation. Okay, so this is another example of how we use data, analyze the data, and find interesting insights from the data. Next one, this one might be more relevant to a technology reporter. This is a story done by Malaysia Kini. Just to clarify that I am not with Malaysia Kini, but sometimes I work with them on stories. Okay, so this is stories that Malaysia Kini did. What happened is that they write a script, and the script will go to all the government websites and to check if the government websites are secure or not. Secure or not secure here means, whether they have the HTTPS, that protocol, right? HTTPS. If there's no HTTPS, there's no S, only HTTP, meaning that, the website is less secure. Any information that you submit in that website could be hacked or could be stolen by other parties. Okay, so they go through all the different government websites, all the government websites, and they found that over 100 government websites are actually not HTTPS. Okay, and this is, of course, a huge weakness. Okay, with the government online security, right? And this story actually generated a lot of responses from the government. The government, after that, have to take actions to secure those websites. Yeah. So this is another data story, right? Because if you don't collect the information about all these different websites, you can't say that whether this is a serious issue or not. But now, because we are able to prove that there are over 100 government websites, and some websites actually allow users to submit their personal information, for example, their ID number, their bank account number. So those websites are actually very dangerous because all the personal information submitted through those websites could be stolen by others. Okay. So 5 stories that would never have been found using data. Using data, we are also able to measure a problem. Okay. I will share with you the slides today, so don't worry about that. Okay, you will be able to visit all these stories at your own time. But let me just show you one story. This is actually a story from Yemen, or just from Jordan, sorry. I'll just skip that. I'll just look at this New York Times story. This is another data-driven story, but very multimedia, very visual-driven. Okay, you look at it is about air pollution in India. Okay, this type of story, right, can be replicated in actually many developing countries like Malaysia, like Indonesia. So what happened is that they follow two kids in two different neighborhoods in a city of New Delhi. Okay, so the title is "Who Gets to Breathe Clean Air in New Delhi?" So they asked the two kids, right, to bring with them a mobile air pollution detector. Okay, and to bring with them when they go to school, when they go to when they go to sleep, when they go out, things like that. Then they measure the air pollution exposure of the two kids at different time of the day. Right, this is when they wake up. This is their neighborhood. You can see that this boy, he is actually from a poor neighborhood, and this girl, she's from a wealthy neighborhood, right? And you can see the exposure difference. Okay, the poor boy, of course, is very high, the air pollution exposure, but for the rich girl, right, it's less. So you can see the neighborhood. These are where the two kids, where are their houses in the city of New Delhi. They are preparing to go to school. And this is the air filter, that the kids bring with them, right? The kids bring an air filter and an air monitor with them whole day for New York Times team to collect the data. So now you can see they plot the exposure, the air pollution exposure of the two kids on the graph at different time. So you can see that the boy, it's much higher than the girl, because this is how they go to school. The boy, he has to cycle to school, and the girl sits in a car to go to school. And because of that, you can see the exposure to air pollution is different. And the school is also different. This is the school. This is a school for the wealthy kids. This is the school for normal kids. So you can see there are actually vehicles going on, traveling above the school. This is actually his school. For the girls' school, there's actually a huge air filter at the basement of the school to make sure that the school has better air quality. And this is how the boys study in his school, right? You can see that it's full of dirt, right? And this is the girl. So you can see the exposure again is very different. Okay, I'll just very quickly scroll to the end of the story when they go to sleep. Okay, when they go to sleep, the girls actually exposed to much higher air pollution throughout the day compared to other hours throughout the day when she's sleeping. All right. So in this story, right, it's a very typical story about the gap between the poor and the rich, right? But using data, okay, we're able to measure how big is the gap between the poor and the rich, right? By looking at data. So this is much interesting reporting. Imagine if you just do like conventional reporting, right? You would be just showing like, okay, where is their school? What do they do? Probably you'll just interview them, right? But in this case, right, you'll probably just show these two so to compare it, right? But you can't quantify it, right? You can't measure it with data. But once you collect data of the air pollution between these two kids, you're able to show a very clear picture like this, comparing the two kids, right? During their day, how much air pollution they are exposed to. So you are able to produce a report that is much more convincing and much better quality because you are able to argue based on your data. All right. So this is a story about how do you use data to measure problems, to look at the impacts and the causes. Let me show you this story about vaccination in Canada. The story about vaccination in Canada, in the city of Toronto. Okay, so look at these two maps. This is COVID-19 hospitalization and death before vaccination. Okay, before vaccination. This is the percentage of people vaccinated with at least one dose. Right? This is after. This is before. Okay. These are how many hospitalization and death, right? The darker the red color, the more hospitalization and death, okay? And this is the darker the color, right? The higher percentage of people that have been vaccinated, okay? This is before vaccination happened. This is before they started vaccination. This is when they started vaccination. Look at these two maps, everyone. What is the problem here? Just look at the map. Don't have to read the story. Just look at a map and then do a simple comparison using your eyes, your visual comparison. What is the problem with the vaccination campaign in the city of Toronto? Anyone have any comment, any idea? Look at the map and then do some comparison. What do you observe from the two maps? This is the percentage of vaccination. This is the hospitalization and death before vaccination. So if you are a journalist, okay, I'll give you the data. Okay, Albert says that city with high death rate has lower vax rate. Exactly. Yeah, very sharp eyes. Yeah, Albert. So you can look at this. Areas with high hospitalization and death, like this area and this area, right? Especially this one on the left side. This area have one of the lowest vaccination rate in the whole city, right? Does that make sense? Doesn't make sense, right? Because if there are more people die because of COVID or hospitalized because of COVID, then when you roll out your vaccination campaign, you should focus on those areas with high hospitalization and death rates, correct? That's common sense, right? Of course, you will have to save the most vulnerable people, right? However, if you look at the vaccination rates, the areas with highest vaccination rates, which is the center here, are areas where there are lower hospitalization and death due to COVID, which means your vaccination campaign is not very balanced, right? You are not meeting the demands, right? You are giving more vaccinations to those who are less affected by COVID. Okay, and the data tell you this problem. If you get the data, you plot them on two maps, and it's very clear, you'll be able to see that is the problem. Okay, and yes, the whole story, this whole investigation is about this problem. There is a mismatch between the vaccination campaign and the hospitalization and death rates. Okay. And the data the journalists don't just stop at there. The journalists try to find out why is there such a gap. And what they found is this, okay? You see that they compare these two areas. The blue areas is where you have high hospitalization and death. You can see it's 5.06, right? The red areas is low hospitalization and death, which is 0.59. Right, so the blue area is actually almost 5 times higher than the pink color area. Okay, but if you look at the vaccines, the percentage of vaccine is 22.4% in this area. For this area, it's only 5.5%. Okay, again, you can see the imbalance. And why is that? So the journalists look at the vaccines facilities, the vaccination facilities in this area, right? And they found that there are 6 pharmacies only in this area. And in this area, there are 29 pharmacies and 1 mass vaccination site that is opening soon to give vaccination. And you see the population here is about 10,000 with 29 pharmacies and 1 mass vaccination site. But this area, right, you can see the population is 41,000. It's about 4 times higher than the population here, but they only have 6 pharmacies. And this is the reason why, the vaccination rates here are much higher, although at the same areas, the hospitalization and death are much lower. Okay, so there's a mismatch. And why is the mismatch? If you look at the location of the pharmacies, you know that is the factors, that is the causes of this problem. Okay, and all this are investigated or found through data, vaccination data. Okay, so let me just skip to one more story before we take a break. Just now when I first started, I mentioned that data journalism use data as a source or as a tool to tell the story, right? So let's look at how data can be the tool to tell a story. One video, YouTube video, let me just show you this video, okay? Let me know if you cannot hear the audio, okay? It should be fine, just now I tested it.
Visualization is right at the heart of my own work too. I teach global health. And I know having the data is not enough. I have to show it in ways people both enjoy and understand. Now, I'm going to try something I've never done before. Animating the data in real space, with a bit of technical assistance from the crew.
So, here we go. First, an axis for health. Life expectancy, from 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person, $400, $4,000, and $40,000. So down here is poor and sick, and up here is rich and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you the world 200 years ago, in 1810. Here come all the countries. Europe brown, Asia red, Middle East green, Africa south of Sahara blue, and the Americas yellow. And the size of the country bubbles show the size of the population. And in 1810, it was pretty crowded down there, wasn't it? All countries were sick and poor. Life expectancy were below 40 in all countries. And only UK and the Netherlands were slightly better off, but not much. And now, why start the world? The Industrial Revolution makes countries in Europe and elsewhere move away from the rest. But the colonized countries in Asia and Africa, they are stuck down there. And eventually, the Western countries get healthier and healthier. And now we slow down to show the impact of the First World War and the Spanish flu epidemic. What a catastrophe! And now I speed up through the 1920s and the 1930s. And in spite of the Great Depression, Western countries forge on towards greater wealth and health. Japan and some others try to follow, but most countries stay down here. Now, after the tragedies of the Second World War, we stop a bit to look at the world in 1948. 1948 was a great year. The war was over, Sweden topped the medal table at the Winter Olympics, and I was born. But the differences between the countries of the world was wider than ever. United States was in the front, Japan was catching up. Brazil was way behind, Iran was getting a little richer from oil, but still had short lives. And the Asian giants, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia, they were still poor and sick down here. But look what is about to happen. Here we go again. In my lifetime, former colonies gained independence, and then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1970s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa follows. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics. Most people today live in the middle, but there are huge differences at the same time between the best of countries and the worst of countries. And there are also huge inequalities within countries. These bubbles show country averages, but I can split them. Take China, I can split it into provinces. There goes Shanghai. It has the same wealth and health as Italy today. And there is the poor inland province Guizhou. It is like Pakistan. And if I split it further, the rural parts are like Ghana in Africa.
And yet, despite the enormous disparities today, we have seen 200 years of remarkable progress. That huge historical gap between the West and the rest is now closing. We have become an entirely new converging world. And I see a clear trend into the future with age.
All right, so now you see, this is actually a history of world health, right, and wealth, right? Imagine if this professor, his name is Hans Rosling, if he is trying to explain to you in your classroom, right, just talking about it and telling you all the numbers, probably more than half of us would fall asleep halfway, right? But using this, what we call data visualization, he is able to visualize the numbers, the history, okay, in a very engaging and creative way. Okay, so this is how you can use data visualization as a tool to tell your story. He already knows what story he wants to tell, right? He is only using the visualization to help him tell a better story, a more engaging story, right? So this guy, you can just Google him, Hans Rosling. He has produce many more other videos like this using data visualization. He passed away, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. Okay, so all right, so let me look at the chat questions after the break. Okay, I will we'll talk about that later. Okay, right. Let me just go back to my slides and see. Okay, I'm not going to show you all the stories examples I have here. We don't have enough time. We'll go to a break, but I will share with you this slide so you are able to see other examples in the slide as well at your own time. We'll have a 10 minutes break, but during the break, you can actually download my slides so that you're able to follow, or if you need to leave early, that's fine. At least you have my slides with you. If you use you go to this link that I put in the chat box, the bit.ly link, you will go to a share folder, okay, a Google folder, and inside the Google folder, you will see the Forwat DDJ PDF. This is the slide, okay. This is the slide that I presented today. You'll be able to get the link to the story here, okay. And another thing I would like you to do during the break is to go to Takovan.Teknologi and download this tool, install in your computer. If you are on a Windows, you can click download for Windows. If you are on a Mac, you can download for Mac. Okay, we'll take a 10 minutes break, and I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay. Sorry, not 10 seconds. Stop. 10 minutes. Oops. All right, if you have any questions as well, you can put into the chat box. I will address that when you come back. Coming back, we'll go into the second part of our workshop, which is more on practical exercise. So if you are on a mobile now, you should switch to a laptop, and you should install Tabula on your laptop, all right? If you can't do that, don't worry, it's okay, right? We'll spend about 15 minutes using Tabula, right? So 10 minutes break. Yep, go and have some coffee, toilet break. I'll see you back in 10 minutes.
meeting is being recorded.
All right, everyone. Yeah, is everyone back? If you're back, let me know, like, yeah, putting a thumbs up or just type something in the chat box so that I know everyone is back. Thank you, Siti. Others, is everyone back? Should I wait or should I continue? Are you back? Okay, Natasha, thank you. Continue, please, Habiba. Okay, let's continue. Right, the next hour, I'm going to talk about like another 5 minutes, then we'll go into some practical exercise, right? To give you a taste of, what do data journalists do, right? What do we do every day? But before that, I actually just want to show you another story. Just like I show you like how you can use data as a tool to present your story, right? Data is also able to help you to produce more engaging and personalized news experience, right? So let's look at this story. New York Times have published a story in 2018 about climate change, okay? And anyone who has reported on climate change will know that this is the issue that is very hard to get people to engage with people, especially in developing countries, because we see that as a global issue that are being addressed by the West, right? Not so much by us. So in 2018, New York Times actually published this story. It's an interactive story. You need to, oops, why is it not loading? Sorry, let me just refresh it. Okay, now it's okay. You need to put in your hometown. Okay. Any town in Indonesia? Don't tell me Jakarta or Jogja, smaller town where you are from. Anyone want to volunteer?
Bali?
Bali. Oh, Bali. Are you from Bali?
No, Jakarta.
Okay, I can put Bali.
Denpasar, I think.
I cannot find Bali. Okay, let's do Balikpapan.
Yeah.
Okay, Balikpapan. Domara, can I know your birth year? If it's okay. Which year were you born? '90. Okay, 1990. So 1990 in your hometown, which is Balikpapan, right? In a year, right? In one whole year, you experience about 67 days. That the average temperature reached 32 degrees and above, which means very hot day, right? 32 degrees means hot day. In a year of the 365 days, they were 67 days, were very hot. In 2018, right, the number of hot days in a year has increased to 148 days in Balikpapan. If these trends continue, by the time you are 80, okay, 80 years old, you go back to Balikpapan, you will find out that in a year, there would be 267 very hot days in Balikpapan, okay? Which means in the 80 years, right, you can see how much temperature has increased in Balikpapan. Okay, so then you scroll down, it will show you this is where Balikpapan is, okay? And this shows the temperature increase in different area, different cities compared to Jakarta, New Delhi, Madrid, okay, and that's it. Okay, so using the data in this story, right? The data helps to connect a global issue with each individual by telling you what was the temperature change in your hometown? So why do they pick a hometown? Because we know that hometown is a place where everybody have a special feeling, right? You're from that. You always pay attention to what is happening in your hometown, right? So this is actually a very good way to localize or personalize a global issue. So global climate change is not something that is very abstract anymore, right? It's not something that is happening in Europe, in the US, but it is something that is happening in your hometown as well. If you look at the data here. So the data and the interactive application here is able to personalize the news experience. Okay, this is one way of using data to reach different individuals, okay, to make your story more engaging, right? So from all the stories, right, that I have shown you, I hope now you have a better idea of, okay, what is data journalism? So data journalism is not just, reporting about data, right? It's to use data to find something hidden within the data, okay? Or to use data visualization as a tool to better present your story or to engage with your readers using data, for example, in this example. Okay, so now I think for me, my definition of data journalism is not just reporting on numbers, but it's to look at what is behind the numbers. What can the numbers tell us about the issue that we are reporting on? Okay, so back to the questions raised by Albert about this guy, Seth Stevens Davidowitz, right? If you guys just Google about this guy, right, he's a data scientist. He's also an op-ed writer at New York Times. I don't really follow his works a lot, but I look at some of his articles. Yeah, I think that is those are good examples of data journalism. Yeah. So when we say data journalism, it's not just reporting about data like share market, okay? Is actually to dig more, using data to find out more about the issues. Whether we want to measure the problem, we want to find out what are the impacts of the problem, the causes of the problem, or we want to use data to better present or engage our audience, our readers. Okay. I hope now you have a better idea of data journalism, and also data journalism can be very creative, very fun. It doesn't have to be boring numbers, right? Okay, so I hope that now I show you all the examples, you will have a better understanding about data journalism. Okay, so here are some quotes from Tim Berners-Lee. He is the founder of www, which is our internet today. And what he says is that, data-driven journalism is the future. It's not even the future, it is happening now, okay? This quote was probably a few years back, okay? So journalists need to be data savvy, right? In the past, we used to get our stories by talking to people. We talk to people, people give us some information, we report about it, right? But now, because data is everywhere and it is very easy to get data, and the tools to analyze and present the data are getting very, very cheap and also free, okay? So we need to have this ability to analyze the data, picking up what is interesting and keeping it in perspective, right? To help people understand better what is going on in their country, in their society, right? So I think that is the purpose of data journalism. Okay, why newsrooms invest so much in data journalism, right? Like setting up their data journalism team, hiring data scientists, programmers, designers, to make more data journalism, is because there's reasons. Okay, I don't have to read them out, but basically, it helps the newsrooms to improve the quality of their reporting, and that will help the newsrooms to improve their business as well, right? So, but it is actually a business decision to set up data journalism team or to expand data journalism. It's not because, they want to be trendy, they want to be fancy, they want to produce something that can catch your attention, but it has been proven that data journalism is able to help the bottom line of many media organizations. It helps them with their brandings. It helps them to increase subscription, readerships, time spent, and things like that. That's why newsrooms are spending more and more money to expand their data journalism production in a newsroom. The most common mistake, however, especially for beginners, right? Just to give you a reminder, is that they often aim for very powerful graphics rather than powerful journalism. What I mean here is that, you keep thinking about what kind of graphics I want to produce, what kind of graphics I want to make. Okay, I want to be interactive. I want to, have fancy interaction in my graphics, but you lost the focus of, you are a journalist, and our work as a journalist is to produce good journalism. Data is just a tool. Okay, remember that. Let me show you two examples. I'll show you this example. This is a classic examples of focusing too much on graphics until you lose your journalism. Okay, this is again done by Berliner Morgenpost, which is a huge media conglomerate in Germany. Okay, I'm going to translate it to English because I don't read German. This is to show you how affordable housing is in different cities in Germany. Okay, so if you click on Munich, let's look at Berlin. Where's Berlin? I cannot find Berlin. Here, Berlin. Okay, I'll click on the Berlin, and you will see this 3D model of Berlin. Okay, the red color bars means that those are unaffordable housing. Okay, those areas have very high rent. Okay, so they are not affordable. The blue colors are affordable. Okay, you are able to compare 2012 with 2016. Okay, so you can see 2012 overall, you can see that it's lower, 2016 is higher. Okay, and you're able to turn it around. All right, so it looks very advanced, right? The graphic looks very fancy because it's 3D model. Okay, let me ask you this. If you live in Jakarta, okay, I built a Jakarta 3D model for you, and you're able to turn it around. Are you able to figure out which area do you live by looking at this 3D model? Can you do that? No, right? I don't think so. I'm not so good with my city that I can figure out, this is North Jakarta, this is west, this is east, this is where I go to school, this is where I work, right? It's very hard, right? So my question is that everyone look at this 3D model. How useful is this 3D model? Does it tell you a lot of information about the rent? I know that their rent is lower in 2012, higher in 2016, okay? But I don't know where. I mouse over, I click on the model, right? Nothing happened. I cannot zoom in, I cannot zoom out, okay? I don't know which part is which part because, I'm not a city planner, where I can know where I live, right? And this publication developed a 3D model for every single city in the country. And think about this, right? Every single city, all the 3D models are useless because they don't give you useful information, right? So what's the point of, making a few dozens of fancy looking 3D models, but they are not effective in conveying or delivering the information? You see the problem? Okay. So this is a lesson, this is a mistake made by many publications, many powerful data journalism teams. Okay. They make fancy things, but not very useful. So what is really useful is that if you click on, again, if I click on Berlin, if I click on the postal code, right, I'll just put in any postal code any postal code, and I click this one. Now I can see here, okay, but still this is not very ideal, right? Okay, what happened if I scroll to the bottom and I click go to article? And now I have a Berlin map that makes sense, right? Because I'm able to, there are labels, I know which area is which area, And because it's not 3D, I am able to know where do I live, right? Okay. And because I use Google Maps every day, I can figure out where is where. And I can also I can also mouse over to see the different numbers. This is much more useful than the 3D model. Isn't that right? Okay. And this is actually much more easier to make compared to the 3D models. And you will spend less money, less manpower to make this. Okay. And this is more useful. All right. So this is a very good example of, you're over designing. You place more attention to your graphics than the information that you want to deliver. All right. So remember, we need to do powerful journalism, not powerful graphics. Okay. We don't want to be the best designer in the world. We want to be the best journalist. And the role of journalists is to deliver information. Okay. Right. Look at this. This is very fun tweet. This was published in 2017 by The Sun, which is a newspaper in the UK. It's about the general elections in the UK, right? This is the results. Okay, so somebody tweet about the front page and make fun of it, right? What is the joke? Is 34 bigger or smaller than 14? 34 is yellow color, okay? 14 is orange color. Which one is bigger? Is 34 bigger or smaller? Smaller, definitely smaller. What about 0? 0 is here. Can you see 0? Yeah, 0 is very big, right? What about 0? 0 is a bit less than 34, okay, it's smaller than 34, but it's much more than 22. This is 22. Others. Okay, so this is also another mistake that many journalists make, right? You know how to make charts, doesn't know you know how to make good chart. Okay, so basic mistake like this, stupid mistake like this have been made everywhere by a lot of data journalists. So be careful, right? So this one is a how we call it. This one is a high-tech mistake. Okay, this one is a basic mistake. I'll try to avoid both of them. Right. If you want to know newsrooms that produce good data journalism, right, I have listed down some of them. The first groups are media in the West, in US and Europe. Second groups are English media in Asia. Okay. Hindustan Times India, Straits Times Singapore, Malaysia Kini Malaysia, SCMP Hong Kong, India Span in India as well. Dawn is in Pakistan. And the third group is non-English media in Asia, right? So I know in Indonesia, Tempo, Kompas, Kata Data, they all produce some data journalism, okay? If you look at China, Caixin is very good. In Taiwan, you have Reader and Commonwealth Magazine. In China, you also have the paper, okay? If you want to look at the best data journalism, right, then I strongly recommend you to look at the Sigma Awards. The Sigma Awards is the only international awards for data journalism. The shortlist for 2022 was just announced yesterday. I am actually part of the organizing committee for Sigma Awards. I'm also part of the judges for Sigma Awards. So this year we received about 600 entries for all over the world, and we pick 100 projects in the shortlist. And the level this year is really, really high. So if you want to look at, very good data journalism to get some ideas, some inspiration, I really recommend you look at the Sigma Awards. Another awards is Online Journalism Awards. This is very US centric. It doesn't only just cover data journalism, it covers all kinds of online journalism, okay, interaction, games, and things like that. If you want to know what is the latest data projects produced by other newsrooms, check out Top 10 in Data Journalism. This is actually an article published by the GIJN. Every 2 weeks, they would publish one article and pick 10 data journalism projects from all around the world. Okay, so this is a good way of knowing what has been produced latest by other newsrooms. All right, so these are some of the resources that if you want to continue to know more about data journalism, you can also take some online courses. I have listed down here 8 online courses of data journalism. There's one in Bahasa actually. Where is that? Sorry guys, I think I missed that one, but I can give you the link here. Data journalism, I think it's done by Aji. I'll send to you later when I find it, right? I remember they developed a data journalism course. Not here. I have the link here, this one, yeah, journalism data. It's a bit slow. It's okay, we'll look at that. These are all in English, okay? Right, and just to answer some, maybe you have questions like, okay, we want to produce data journalism, how do we start? Data journalism usually involve different skill set, okay? It involves journalism, design, because you need to design graphics, right? Mathematics, of course, because you need to do data analysis. Sometimes it also involves some coding. Coding means that if you want to do like interactive quiz, those kind of animation, right? But nowadays there are many tools that allows you to make interactive charts without coding. So we are going to use one tool later, okay? Sometimes if you are, dealing with more complex data sets, you might need someone with data science or statistics background. Okay, of course, there's no way for one newsroom to have all of this, right? This is where it would be good if you can, have collaboration with, experts outside of journalism. For example, collaboration with academics, researchers, or data scientists who can help, right? But for simple data sets, right, you can do it by yourself using a few tools, which we are going to try next. Okay. I'm going to skip this. How to find data. This is the first step. Usually this is the first step. I'll just show you like the steps involved in doing data story, right? Usually we start with, data collection. It doesn't mean that we have to collect data ourselves. Sometimes we can get data from open data supplier, which means the government, the researchers, or anyone with data. Then we can do validation and analysis, okay? Then only when we find something from here, then we can do visualization and storytelling, all right? So that's usually the workflow, okay? Getting the data, validating and analyzing the data. And the last part is to turn the data into story together with visualizations, okay? This is another way of illustrating the workflow. It's very similar to this one. This one is simpler. So we are going to do some steps in our practical sessions today. So every time when you want to do data journalism, it always starts with where to find the data. Okay, I know in Indonesia there's an open data portal set up by the government. How good it is, I'm not sure. Okay, maybe you can tell me more about it for those who have used the open data portal before. Malaysia, in my country, we also have a open data portal. It's not very useful, the data sets on there. The important data sets, they are all not there. Okay. Here there's a list of data sources. Don't just think about government. Okay. Sometimes other people have better data sources. For example, one data source, that data source that is important but usually overlooked is technology companies. For example, if you want to know about traffic data, right? If you ask Grab or Gojek, right? They have very good traffic data because they have drivers on the road every hour, right? So they actually, and they track their drivers. So they know, which area and what time there is a heavy traffic, there are accidents and all those things, right? So think about technology companies. Technology companies, usually they collect a lot of data, and sometimes they are willing to share the data with journalists. Okay, so I'll skip this. I also give you a list of international data sources. If you want to do country comparison, for example, if you want to compare Indonesia with other countries, here are different data sources, that you are able to explore. All right, I don't have time to go through each of them, but I think that I'll just give you all of this so that as a future reference, you are able to use them if you want. When there's no good data, you have to be creative. Okay, for example, this story by Reuters. Reuters want to know how many deaths caused by COVID in March and April 2020. This was when the pandemic first started, right? And we know that the government statistics, the government numbers, is usually undercount because there are many deaths that were not recorded as COVID death by the government, right? Because they were buried before they were even tested, right? So Reuters used a method that trying to estimate the death in Indonesia. They want to compare the number of deaths for March and April, right, in Indonesia, compared to the average number in the past 2 or 3 years. Because this is what we call the excess death, right? The additional death. So this number, if there's no big disaster, there's no other disease, right? This number, this excess death were most likely caused by COVID. And this is a better number compared to the government statistics, okay? However, the problem they face is that, they could not find monthly death data from the government because the government don't announce it. So when they couldn't find the numbers of death for each month, what do? They bump into this data released by the Jakarta Department of Parks and Cemeteries. This department actually released the number of funeral services every month. So from funeral services, we know this represents number of death, right? People die, people have funeral. Okay, so they use the funeral services they look at the data since 2018 and compare it, and they found that there's a spike in number of funeral services in March and April, and this number is actually much higher than the reported death number by the government. So which means this is actually the actual death number by COVID. Okay, because there was no war, there was no large disaster, right, that killed people during this period. So why is this period, number of funeral higher than previous average? Because of COVID. There's no other reasons, right? And if you minus this number minus the average number, this is the number of COVID death actually, and this number is much higher than what was reported by the government. So this is a good lesson, right? That when there's no good data, be creative, look around and see if there is any secondary data set that you can use, right? Okay, let's do some exercise, right? I will show you, there are several things. No, I'm not going to show you how do you find data. I think for those who have attended the digital tools workshop, I think the trainer went through how do you use Google search, right? Google search with the advanced search operators, all those things to find data, right? So for me here is that I want to focus on, in many of our developing countries, our data are available in PDF format. Okay, PDF format, which means there's a table in PDF format. And because of PDF, because of that, it is very hard to convert the PDF table into a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet means, Excel or Google Sheets. Why do we need data in spreadsheets? Because that allows us to do calculation and analysis. All right. So let's go to the folder that I shared with you. Okay, I was able to open this. Yeah, I think there's a ruang belajar. And this is where you're able to, learn about data journalism in Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, I'm going to send this link in the chat box. This is what I mentioned just now. Okay, let's go to the, everyone please open up your laptop. We are going to use, we are going to do some exercise together. Go to the share folder. Are you able to access the share folder, everyone? This is where I need everyone to respond to me. Okay, yes, no, I have problems, so that we can move faster, okay? Are you able to open up this share folder? I'll put the link again. Okay, great. I have a PDF called Roadmap of SDG 4446. Okay, can you please download it to your computer? Download it and open it, and you should see this. Okay. So if you look at this PDF, right, there are some tables here. For example, this one, okay. Reading mathematics. So for example, right, if I need the data here, I want to calculate, right, like percentage of increase from the data here. I want to copy the data in the table to a spreadsheet so that I can calculate like how many percent have it increased, right, over the years, right? Am I able to do that? You can try to go to your Google Drive, okay? Go to Google Drive, open a new Google Sheets. Okay, go to your Google Drive, open a new Google Sheets. Give it a name, okay. And I'm going to try and copy paste the data here. Okay, copy and then paste it here. So you can see this is what I got. Okay. Can also paste like this. This is what I got, right? So it's not a table. And that is the problem with data in PDF table. It is very hard to copy them. I can't even select them. Okay, now I can select most of them. I try copy again. You'll see this is the data that I get. Everything is squeezed in one single cell. So I can't do calculation like I want to have this minus this, right? I can't do that. Okay. You can try other tables. They all have the same problem. Okay, so that is our problem, right? A lot of time when we get information from data from government, government will give us PDFs. Of course, we should always ask government to say that, hey, can you give me the table in an Excel file or in a CSV file, right? You know, the file that I can open with spreadsheet, I can open with Microsoft Excel. But usually they will say that, no, this is our only copy. You can take this. Okay, so once you get this, right, are you going to, you can, of course, you can, you know, key in the number one by one, right? But that will take a lot of times, right? A lot of time. So if you want to find something to solve this problem, right? There are two tools that I like to recommend. One is called Tabula. Another one is called Comet Docs. So that's why just now I asked you to install Tabula. Tabula is a free software developed by journalists for journalists. It is always free and you can use unlimited times. This is the first tool that I usually go to. If this doesn't work, then I would go to Comet Docs. Okay, this is Comet Docs. Let me just open Comet Docs. This is the URL of Comet Docs. Okay, I put in the chat box. So let us use Tabula first. Okay, let's say we want to get the data here, this one. Okay, on the second, this one on the second page about reading and mathematics. Okay, I want to get the data here. So I want to use table to help me extract the data here into a spreadsheet. Okay, so please follow me step by step. We can do it together. Okay, first, if you have download Tabula, please run Tabula. Double click run Tabula. There's a, I think if you are on a window, there's an exe file. If you double click it, it will open up Tabula. It might take 10-20 seconds to run the program. So Tabula will open a new tab on your browser. If you are using Chrome, then you will see there's a new tab. The URL is 127.001.8080. When you see this, right, it means this is something on your computer. This is not internet. Okay, this is not www something. This is not internet. This is something on your computer. And this is how Tabula works. Tabula will use your browser and open up this interface. Okay. Can everyone get this? When you run your Tabula? Okay, yes. Others? Everyone? If I see 3 or 4 yes, then I will continue. If not, I'll just wait. Okay, thanks, Habiba, Albert. Others? Are you able to open Tabula? Ika, thank you. So for others, are you having problem or you are just watching? Bambang, yes. So you need to install Java. Yeah, you can install that later. It needs the latest version of Java for Tabula to run. Okay, so you can fix that later. All right. So if you're able to open up Tabula, okay, you need to browse the PDF that you just download, the roadmap of SDG. Okay, click import. Okay, it will import the PDF file to Tabula. And it will open up the PDF file here, right? There are 3 pages. Oops. Hold on, let me just refresh it. Okay. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 pages. So how do we extract the table? Let's say we want a table on the second page. Okay, very easy. We just have to use the. Okay, Albert, yeah, it's uploading. Okay, cool. Once you're uploading, you can look at how I'm going to do it. You need to select the table that you want. Okay. So the tips here is that, you see that I don't include reading and mathematics. Why? Because there are 1, 2, 3 columns here, right? But reading is between the second and third column. So if I include reading and mathematics, right, sometimes Tabula would get confused. It doesn't know should it put reading in the second column or third column. Okay, because this is a merged cell, right? It merged together. So usually I would not include it. I'll just include the first row of header and the data. Okay, I don't include the line as well. You can see the bottom, there's a line, right? So I will just move it inside the line so that it is not too confusing for Tabula to see that, hey, there's a line here. What does that line means, right? So I'll just select the table of data and I'll click preview and export extracted data. And now I have the data. But it's not good, right? Because you can see that this intervention and there are 2 values here, right? There are 2 values in the same cell, okay? This is not what we want. It should be in different columns, okay? So in this case, when this happened, right, you can try the second extraction method. you'll see that there are two extraction methods here. One is called stream, one is called lattice. So you can try lattice. So you can try click lattice, and it doesn't work as well, right? This is even worse. Okay. So let me just try a different method. Okay. When that happens, right, usually it doesn't happen every time, right? Most of the time it works fine. But if that happens, what we can do is that we can do part of the table first, right? Probably because, you know, there's a middle line here, so it gets confused. Okay. If I do the first part of the table here, I'll click preview and export. It works fine, right? So this works fine, right? But you can see that the title here has some problem, right? Intervention, and then there's an ST. This also doesn't make sense, right? What is that? What is the correct one? It's year and baseline and intervention. Year, baseline, intervention. Okay. So why is there an ST and the year is not year, right? I'm guessing if I copy year and I put it here, let me see what I get. I get year. Interesting. I don't know why it is not, it doesn't appear as year. Okay, anyway, now you get all the data, right? But you need to still fix this, right? By typing year, and this one, intervention, you should remove ST. Okay. Once I got the data here, what can I do? I can just copy. I can just select them, copy, Control C to copy. And then after that, put into my spreadsheet. Now I got the data in the spreadsheet format. Of course, I need to clean my data, remove intervention, change it to year. Okay. And then go back to the second part of the table. Remember this part of the table, right? I'm going to select this part and click. Now I get the data. I can now put them into here. Okay, and of course I need to change baseline and intervention. Okay, baseline, intervention. Yeah. Okay, everyone got it? It is not straightforward, right? Like, okay, I select the whole table, I will be able to get the whole table, right? It is not straightforward. It is like that. There's no like the perfect tool in the world to help us to extract PDF, okay? But Tabular is one of the best because it's free. If you use Comet Docs, right? Comet Docs is actually a paid tool, okay? For Comet Doc, okay? You can open up a free account, but once you reach the limit of a free account, you will have to start paying, okay? I actually have a paid account here. I don't have to show you Comet Docs because it's actually quite easy to use. Just, again, upload your PDF file, and then it would convert the whole PDF file, okay? But for Tabular, if you want to convert multiple tables, okay, you are able to do that as well. Let's say I want to convert all the table on page 3. Okay, what do? Okay, select this one. Second table, third table, and the fourth table. So there are 4 tables here. Okay, then I collect, preview, and export. First table, second table, third table, fourth table. Okay, so I'm able to select everything, copy them, and then put into my spreadsheets. Again, the data is not super clean, right? For example, the first table, there are some problems. The year and the values are in the same cell. Okay, so we still have to do some manual cleaning for the data here. The first one, okay. Not sure why the first one looks like this. Let me look at, oh, this is the first one, right? Let's check the first one to see what is the problem. I'll just select the first one. I now click export again. Yeah, the year and the number are in. So I can try letters. Doesn't work. String doesn't work. I don't understand. So there's no perfect tool. Okay. So sometimes if there's no choice, what you need to do is to manually clean it. Yeah. So this one is a lot of work. You need to manually take out 34.5, put into a second cell. Okay. So you still need to do some manual cleaning. For any data journalist, right? Most of our time is wasted just to do data cleaning. Okay. So the best solution is actually if the data provider is able to give you data in a spreadsheet format. Okay. Excel file, CSV file, then you save a lot of time. So always talk to the data provider. Call first to ask, hey, I need this data. I saw the data in your PDF file. Are you able to send me, the Excel file, or are you able to send me the CSV file so that I don't have to manually convert them? Okay, but eventually, if you can't get the spreadsheet file, you still have to manually convert. Then you can try Tabula or Comet Docs. All right. So this is the first tool I want to show you. Before I move on to the second tool, any questions? Everyone is okay? Okay. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Siti. Thank you, Habiba. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Another thing that I would like to try today is to make a chart, make a simple chart. Okay. The chart that I want you to make is this one. Let me show you. Let us make the chart first before I go through some of the concepts. This is the chart that we are going to make. Okay, go to this link I have put into the chat box. This chart. It is about the number of people using different social media platforms from 2004 to 2018. Okay, so you can see that Facebook is still number 1, followed by YouTube, WhatsApp, WeChat, Instagram, Tumblr, TikTok, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's say we have this data and we want to make a chart like this. How do we do that? Okay. There are many charts here, but our focus is on the first chart. Okay. There is actually a way to download the data. Is there a tab here that allows you to download data? I think I saw that before. Yes. I'm not sure why it is. Yes, right?
Yes.
My one is missing. I don't know why. This morning when I checked the chart, it is here. Is this okay? Okay, now it is here. Okay. I don't know what happened. Don't ask me. It's just weird. Just now it was there, not there, right? Now you can see. Okay. So for so let's say I want to do this chart, right? I want to compare the different users on different platforms, social media platforms, right? So first I need to get the data. And this is good because this is from our World in Data. You should be familiar with this website after the pandemic because the website has very good database of COVID-19 data. Okay, because of COVID-19, not everyone, right? Most people now know this website, our World in Data. Okay, they are actually a very reliable data websites. Okay, so the data here is quite reliable. All right, but anyway, you should always check, where do they get their data by looking at sources. Whenever you want to use any data set, check the sources first. Make sure that it's reliable. Okay, so that it says that the website is from Statista. Statista is actually a data vendor. It sells data. Yeah, It is a business that sells data, right? It gets its data from all different sources, verified it, clean it, and then sell to you. It's not cheap. TNW is from the Next Web. The Next Web is actually a tech website, right? I think most of you know, right? So there are data on. So I know that these are the sources of that data. Okay, they got the data in 2019, not the latest data, but it's good enough for our exercise. And the best thing is you are able to download the data. You are able to download the chart, or if you want to download data, you can click full data. This is what I want you to do. Click on this full data to get the CSV file. Okay, click on this to download the data file. You should get a CSV file, right? Once you get the CSV file, upload the file to your Google folder. The file name should be users by social media platform.csv, correct? And then you can put the file to your Google folder, Google Drive, and then right click, open with Google Sheets. CSV means comma separated values. Okay, let me type that. Comma separated values. It is a type of table file. Okay, you can open it as a table, and you can open it with Excel, with Google Sheets, with OpenOffice, right? Any spreadsheet software, right? So this is not a PDF. If you right click and open as Google Sheets, okay, you should get something like this. Let me open it up. Here, users by social media platform. Correct. No, this one has been. I have processed this file before, so maybe don't use this one. Let me just open it again. Open with Google Sheets. Then you will see a Google Sheets file. This is the data that you get. Everyone got this from our world in data? This is the first chart, yeah, not the other charts, okay? They are all other data, okay? But we want the first chart as an exercise. Click on download and choose the CSV. Then put the CSV in your Google Drive, right? CSV on your Google Drive, right click, open with Google Sheets. And it will create a new Google Sheets file with the same name. User by social media platform, right? Same name, but it's a different file. When you see this green color cross, it means this is a Google Sheets. This is your CSV, this is your Google Sheets. When you right click and open with Google Sheets, it will create a new Google Sheet file with the same name. And it will open up this file for you, and this is what you see. Everybody gets this? Okay, good. So now we are going to make this line chart, interactive one, okay? Using the data here, right? We're going to make the same chart, and we're also going to make other types of charts, okay, using the data here. So don't touch this data first. You can see the data is arranged, in entity, which means which platforms, which year, and their active users for that year, okay? And there's a column say code, but there's nothing in the column, right? There's nothing in the column. Okay, so we actually don't need this. We can remove this. Okay, so how do you remove? Just right click and then delete column. To delete the column, we don't need that column. Okay, we just need this 1, 2, 3. Entity, year, and the monthly active user. Okay, now we are going to convert this into an interactive chart. Okay, using a tool called Flourish. This is a free tool that can help you to make interactive chart. Okay, what you need is to sign up a free account if you don't have one yet. I'll put the link in the URL. Quickly use your Gmail account to sign up for a new account. Yeah, it should take you less than 1 minute. Click on sign up. I can't sign up because I already have an account. Okay. You have learned about it last week. Okay, that's good. Have you tried to make charts using that? Albert? Did you make chart using Flourish? For those who okay, you use Infogram. Yeah, it's a very similar. Infogram is also one of the charting tools. Okay, for those who did not attend last week workshop, you can register a new account. It is free. Okay. If you are a newsroom and your newsroom doesn't have a Flourish account, you can ask for a free upgrade for your newsroom. Okay. How do you do that? You scroll to the bottom. There's a newsroom. I'm not sure whether this has been told to you last week. So for those who don't know, just go to flourish.studio, scroll to the bottom, click on newsroom. So it says that we have partnered with Google News Lab to make Flourish available for teams in qualifying newsroom. Okay. So you must be public-facing general news journalism, right? And then you can click for apply for newsroom access. But make sure that your newsrooms don't have an account first. Apply for newsroom access, fill up a Google form, and they will get in touch, and you will be able to get a free upgrade to premium account for your newsroom. But I think one newsroom is only eligible for one account, which makes sense, right? You don't want to give 10 free accounts to a newsroom. What's the point? So the whole newsroom can share the account. Okay. Yeah. So this is the resources by Flourish. Okay. And this is also why I picked Flourish, because I think it's very friendly to newsroom. There are many other charting tools out there. Okay. I will show you some of the alternatives later. Okay, so when you are in Flourish, after you sign in, right, you should click New Visualization. Okay, I think if you are a new account user, this is empty, right? You should get an empty page because you have not created any charts yet. You click on New Visualizations. Okay, we are going to make a line chart, right? A line chart. There are many different templates, which means these are all the charts that you can make using Flourish. You can see there are many of them. Okay, so if you want to learn, how to use Flourish to make different types of charts, we can do a workshop just on Flourish, right? But right now, I just want you to have a general sense of data journalism. Okay, we find data, we get ready our data in spreadsheet, and then we use the data to make a chart to tell the story. So let's click line chart. Click line chart. So Flourish, right? The good thing about Flourish is that for any template, it will gives you some sample data. You can switch between preview and data. Preview is how your chart looks like. Data is what is your data. So by default, Flourish will show you some sample data, but this is not our data, right? We need to replace the data into our own data, okay? But this is how you should structure your data, right? Flourish gives you some sample data, so you know you need to structure your data in this way. So which means there are years, right? This is years. These are different column or different categories. Okay, so in that case, if you look at data, the year should be in column A. Okay, and then each category should take one separate column followed by the data. Okay, so this is the structure. So it's category versus year. It's not year versus categories. Okay, remember that. So it's not the other way around. So now we know that we need to convert our data, the social media data, into this format. Year and different platforms with the numbers. Okay, got that? This is what we are going to do next. How do we convert our data into year versus different social media? Okay, so how do we do that? When you see your data in this format, yeah, which means that each year take up one row of data. Each row data has an entity, has a year, has a number, okay? How are you going to convert into this format? Of course, you can do it manually. Manually means that, okay, I'm going to show you very quickly. You see that I can do this. It should be year, right? And then it should be Facebook, right? This one is Facebook. Then I copy all the Facebook data up here, correct? And then Flickr. And then Flickr data is from 2000. You can see that it is actually not standard because some social media started earlier. So let me just, okay, this one should be, and then we can do it manually, right? Okay, so from that I can do Flickr. Flickr start from 2004. Okay, and then I'll do Friendster and all the other different social media tools. Sorry. Oops. Okay, right. So we do it one by one. Okay, until we have all the data. Because we can't put this data into Flourish. We need to arrange it in this format. Everyone clear? Okay. But doing it manually will take a lot of time. So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna remove this. I will show you a way to organize it into this format, right? Using a function called pivot table. Pivot table is also available in all other spreadsheet software like Excel, OpenOffice. So what you have learned on Google Sheets, you can also apply it using Excel, okay? So first is that select all the data here. How do you select the data? You can use a keyboard shortcut, Control A. Control A means select all data. Just to make sure that you have all the data, you can scroll down to make sure that you have all the data selected, okay? Or you can do the manual one, right? Using the mouse to drag everything, select all the data. Okay, done? Select all the data. Once you select the data, click Insert. Insert a pivot table. Okay, insert a pivot table. Just click Create. Don't have to change anything. Just click Create. And now you will have this new tab called Pivot Table 1. Okay, Pivot Table 1. Pivot table is a way to organize and summarize your data. It doesn't change your data here. Okay, so it doesn't change your data here. This is your original data. Whatever you do here will not change your data here. Okay, so now we want to organize our data into this format, right? Year and different social media platforms. Remember that? Okay, so using pivot table, we can do that. So there are three parts in pivot table. One is column, one is rows, one is value. Okay, rows, values, and columns. So remember that this format we want to convert into this format. Okay, so the rows should be year, the column should be social media platforms. So under rows, right, we are going to add something. See rows here? We can click add. Add these three components that you can add. These three are actually the header or the title of the 3 column. Entity, year, monthly active user. Okay. At 1 of 3. Entity, year, monthly active user. It is actually from here. All right, got it. So for roles, we should add year. If we add year, you will see that year will appear here as rows, because under rows we put year. We can remove it. Okay, add again, year. Okay. So what should we do? What should we put under columns? Entity, right? Because entity means the social media platforms. Okay, so under columns, we will put entity. Now you have Facebook, Flickr, Friendster, and everything. Okay, so now this is the format that Flourish want, right? Year is here, and the different categories are here. Okay, what about the values? So we need to put something inside the values. Values at active user. Okay. So now you see that every tools, every social media platforms, we have the numbers by year. So far, everybody can follow, or is it too confusing? Okay, you can play with the year, the rows, columns, and values. Don't worry, you can put anything you want because it will not change your data. Remember, it is a way to organize your data. It will not change your data, right? It's just a different way of arranging your data. So once we have this, now we can copy the data for year and the different platforms, but we don't want the total, right? Because Flourish doesn't want you to put in the total, okay? We can also hide the total if we untick the box show totals. Untick, then there's no total, right? The total is gone. So now we can copy the data here, all the data here. Let me do that again. Here, don't copy the first row, the sum of monthly, and you don't copy that, right? Copy and then put into Flourish. How do you put in it? You just Control A, delete everything. Okay, Control A means select, then delete everything. Okay, this one works like Google Sheets. Okay, go to the first cell and paste it. Paste is Control V. Okay, so just now I copy the data here and I put it here. Okay, for me to easily to access my data easier, I can also put my data in the new sheets here. Okay, I copy the data from pivot table, I put into under new sheets. I create a new sheet and put into here. Okay. So that is easier. So later I can change my pivot table again. Now I have all my data here with the year, the structure that Flourish want, right? Year is here, and then different columns, right? But you see that now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines only. Facebook, Google Bus, Flickr, and Friendster. Only 1, 2, 3, 4. Why? Because I have to include all the other columns, right? How do I include all the other columns? I have to set it here. So you see that the first one, labels time, is A. A means A column. A columns is the time and labels, which is correct, okay? Values is B to E. B to E means B, C, D, E. Because this is the sample data, right? Just now, for the sample data, there are only 4 columns. But now my data is until T, correct? So I have to change B to E to B to T. Okay, after I change it, you see that it changed the color. Now the color is the same as this one. Because purple color is purple color. Pink color is pink color. Got it? Okay, now you look at your chart. Now you get the same chart as this one. Right? Okay, as simple as that. Now you make a chart. Of course, I don't like the chart because I think there are too many lines and too many colors. This is not good. Okay, this is not a good chart because you can see that this part here is very confusing, right? So that is another different lesson, right? How do we make our chart clearer, easy to understand? In this case, I would probably change all the line color to gray color, and I will highlight, if my purpose is to show, for example, WhatsApp, how WhatsApp overtaken others, then maybe I'll just color WhatsApp, and the other I will just use gray color. Okay, and this chart is also interactive. When your user mouse over, they will be able to see the values. Okay, so this panel, right, under preview, these are all the options that you can do to change the appearance of your chart. To change the appearance, which means, for example, I can change the color under color. I can change, let's say now it follows this color, right? Blue, yellow, green, purple, right? If I click edit color palette, I can change all the colors here. For example, I just put this color, gray color, for all others, right? So this color is 666666, okay? This is the color code for gray color. I can do that. You can see that I can change everything to 6. This is what you will get. Now everything become green colors. Gray colors. Okay, only the first one is blue. Okay, if you want to know like the colors that you want, you can always go and search for light blue hex code. Hex code is the code for that color. So let's say this is the light blue, right? This is the hex code. So I just copy this code, go back here. I'll just change to this code. Now it becomes light blue color. Okay. So if the second line you want to have a different color, let's say I want to have bright red. Just click on any page, right? It will show you where it's bright red. This one, right? Then this is the code. Just Google it. There are many websites that can show you all those different color codes. I'll put in light red, and here this is light red. Because this is the second line. So maybe I want to use this line. I'm not sure which line is this. This is another line here. Okay. So besides from that, right, you can also do. So now that I don't know which line is which one, right, I can also do custom overrides. Custom override means I can just type the category and type the color that I want. So I will just put YouTube, for example. Remember that you have to type exactly YouTube, capital T, capital T. Okay, YouTube. And you do comma and you do the color code. For those who cannot see my screen, I'll put in there, I'll put in the chat box. Now the YouTube become red color. Okay, so this is how you can change the color. You can change the color palette here, or you can do custom overrides by typing the category, name of the category, and then followed by the color code. Okay, so you can also change a lot of things. For example, the line, if you don't want the dot, if you think the dot is very distracting, you can go to underline and under dots, okay, click off, then there'll be no dots. Okay, so that's it's a totally different workshop to run about what is a good design of charts, right? But I just want to let you know that this is how you can use Flourish Okay, if you do not want the legend here, okay, you can also remove the legend by going to legend and click off. Then there will be no legend. Okay, but then you need to label it. Okay, or you want to put the labels on lines like this. Okay, you see, Facebook, YouTube, and the others. This is very similar to what has been done here. All right, then you can also add a header, right? Let's say I want to use the same number or the same title. I can put under header here. Okay, now I have the header. I can do a footer. A footer means the source. Where do I get the source? Right, let's say my source is our world in data. Okay. Sorry, not note. It should be source name. Okay, our world in data. I can also put a link of the where I get my data from in the source URL. Okay, so now there's a link. My readers will be able to check where did I get my data source. Okay. So after you have done your chart, right? You want to publish it. How do you publish it? Okay, so this is the last step. Okay, the last step. The other options you can play with it, right? I don't have time to go through each one of them, right? You can change the annotation, you can change the animation, a lot of things that you can change, yeah. But I just want to show you once you are done with your chart, you can publish it by clicking export and publish, publish to share and embed, publish. When it becomes green color, which means it is now public, you can publish it. You should publish it. You can download it as an image file. When it is an image file, then it is not interactive. Okay, you cannot mouse over. If you want to publish the this version, this interactive version, you have to use the embed code. Okay, usually the embed code you can click more options. You should pick iframe. Okay, iframe is usually works for all kind of CMS, which means your publishing platform. It works for WordPress, it works for Drupal, it works for a lot of different platforms, okay? You just have to copy this iframe and put it into your CMS, just like you put the embed code for YouTube. Sometimes you want to publish, embed a YouTube video in your website, you also use the iframe embed code, okay? But if you don't have access to your CMS, you want to see how it looks like, okay? You can try to put the code in the website called codepen.io. Let me just quickly, this is where you are able to test your embed code. This is just to test code. You don't have to sign up, don't have to log in, don't do anything, just click start coding. Start coding. Your view should look something like this. I hate this view because this is not very friendly. I usually change my view by clicking the icon here. I like the left-right layout, okay? And then you can get the embed link, the embed code, the embed code from here, the iframe, under iframe, and put it under HTML. And you should see your chart here. Okay, so this is how the chart looks like when you embed on your website. Okay, you can see how it looks like on the mobile screen by changing the size of the window. Yeah, this is the mobile, how it will look like on mobile screen. Okay, so it is mobile responsive, which means it changes according to your screen size. Okay, if you think this is too high, okay, this is too high, you want to make it shorter, you just have to go back here. Because under here, there's a width and a height, right? Currently, the height is 500 pixel. You can change to, 600 pixel. You can change to 500 pixel, okay? Copy the iframe code again and put it here. You'll see that now it becomes shorter. Now it's shorter, right? Now it's 500 pixel. So this is how you can control the height of the chart by changing the height here. How many pixels? Okay, so this is how you embed your chart. Right. After that, when you want to update your chart, if you have new data, you just have to go back here. Okay, go back to your account on Flourish, go to data, change the number here, or copy paste a new set of data. Okay, and click publish again. Once you click publish, all the charts that you have embedded will be automatically updated. You don't have to put in the embed code again. You just have to embed on your website one time. If you want to update the chart, come back to Flourish, go to data. Let's say I remove Facebook. Yeah, let's say I remove Facebook, the remove column. Now there's no more Facebook, right? You will see that this becomes orange color, which means my data has been changed. I will have to click republish. Once I republish it, I don't have to change my embed code, okay? Because my chart would be automatically updated when the website is refreshed. Let me just refresh the website. Okay, now it's nothing. Now I'll just put the embed code again. So now I should see that Facebook is gone. Yeah, so there's no more Facebook, only YouTube. This is how you update your chart. Okay, you don't have to go and get the embed code again. You only will embed it once. After that, you update your data and it will be automatically updated. All right, everyone. That's the workshop for today. That's all I can cover for today. As I told you, my workshop usually is 5 days long, right? But just today, just want to show you some concepts about data journalism, show you some examples, and show you some tools that you can use immediately after the workshop. Okay. If you look back my slides, there are some. If you want to learn more spreadsheet skills, right? The one about pivot table, about how to do analysis, there's a tutorial here. There's a link to a tutorial here. Just now we use Flourish to make the chart, and chart should be what a good visualization should have, right? I put it some tips here, and which chart for what data? Should we choose a line chart, a bar chart, whatever chart? Usually these are the 8 types of charts that I use. Okay, and there is a guide. There are 2 guides that can help you to choose the chart for your data. Okay, and also there are other alternatives if you want to make interactive charts, right? I prefer Flourish, but if you think Flourish doesn't work for you, you can try Evervis Data Wrapper. Some of you mentioned Infogram. Infogram is also another tool. All of them are free, but if you want to upgrade to premium account, you have to pay. Okay, but if you are a newsroom, you use Flourish, you are able to get the free account, right, by filling up the form. Okay, and that's all for my workshop. We have another 12 minutes for any Q&A and yeah, discussions.
Thank you very much, Keng. It's really very insightful presentation and examples, and also the workshop too. But it's, to be honest, for me, it's quite a bit difficult when coming to the technical issue, like putting the data and so on. But thank you so much for the presentation, and you also give some tips from the spreadsheet. So yeah, I will probably look at it after this. Anyone, do you have any questions to Keng? Ada yang mau bertanya sama Keng?
Apa soalan? Don't worry too much about data, because sometimes the data that you get, right, is already in a format that is very easy to visualize. You don't have to change the format. Yes, if you want to, you can re-watch the video. We have recorded it, right?
Yeah. Does anyone want to ask something to Kang? Maybe this is your chance. Or if we want to talk, if we want to ask personally after this, do you have any like email or
Feel
contact?
free to send me, email me. You can find my email in the slides that I share with you. I can also put that in the chat box now. So just to show you, like, Flourish also allows you to make other more interesting charts. For example, just now the social media data, right? We can actually change it to something more interesting like this one. This is called a bar chart race. Let me quickly show you, like, we can make this chart as well using the data that we have. You can see that this is like going through years, right? How things have changed. So we can also use the same data that we have made here, but we need to restructure it, right? The year should be here, and then the social media should be here. Because if you look at the data, this is the country, means the category, and this is the year, okay? So we can quickly use pivot table, put the rows as the entity, the columns as year, okay? Then the values, all right? After that, I'll just copy the data, copy it, go to Flourish, delete the data, put in my own data, okay? Remember to change the label here. This, the column A is the label. And then categories is B, there's no category, there's no image. I can put in an image if I want, but there's no image for my data. And the value should be B to S, okay? So B to S, okay? And now you can see, now you get the data, you get a chart, right? You can see that when we first started in 2000, there's only Friendster. After that, MySpace, okay? YouTube came out and become #1. And after that, Facebook, you get Facebook, how Facebook overtook YouTube, become #1. And Facebook stays there until the end of 2018. But you can see like how other platforms are catching up with Facebook, especially WhatsApp, right? So this is also quite interesting if you want to show this chart. And you can again publish, export it. It's the same way, right? Just have to figure out how to put the data, and then you have to change the color. You can change the color by changing the options here. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Any questions? If not, then I'll see you next time.
Hello, can I show my appreciations about today's workshop?
Sure.
Yeah, actually, thank you so much for your sharing and materials, because, well, actually, I have 4 team member over here as the participants, and I think what you try to share today, it's very important, not only for journalism, but also for digital content creator, because actually journalism nowadays, it's not about only from the mass media, right? Not only from the media, but also also the company, just like my company. I'm from Lip Surabaya. It's not in Jakarta. So we try our best also to create a good content for our followers. And yeah, I just want to share my appreciation about your materials today, Kang. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lashmi. Thanks for coming today. I hope it's useful. Today is just very basic introduction about data journalism. I have to keep emphasizing this, because data journalism is not something that you can pick up in a 3 hours workshop, right? So I would need to spend quite some time to pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's correct. I hope there will be another session again after this.
If your Forwat is interested to have like we can have like session just on like finding data, or a session just on using spreadsheet, or a session just on visualization. We can actually arrange that with Google News initiative. Okay, so just tell Trina about it, and Trina will engage trainers like me to help you out. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we will, after this session, we will try to ask our media friends what they need after this, because, you know, we cannot just host the workshop like this and then the participants only a few. It will be wasting your time. So we'll try to ask our media friends, do they need like next session or the advanced one? Or if they want to invite you personally to their media organization, is it possible? Or it has to facilitate by Google News Initiative or whatever?
You can
But
engage me. Sorry.
yeah, I really appreciate for your time today. So after this event, we will ask our friends, do they need another session, or is this a good enough for others? That's all for me.
We can definitely discuss. If any newsrooms want to engage me to do training, feel free to contact me. If you want Google to arrange, you can contact Trina. What happened is that if you go through Trina, then probably you are able to get free training, because Google actually pays me to do training in their events. So this is how the arrangement work. I don't work for Google. I work for my own company, but Google is like a partner. So every time when newsrooms want to do training, Google will find me to do the training, and Google will pay me for that, right?
Oke. Mungkin udah cukup kali sih, mau maghrib.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih teman-teman udah mau mengikuti workshop kali ini. Thank you so much, Keng, and thank you, Trina, for facilitate and giving the training for Indonesia journalists, for techno journalists in here. So I hope have a good weekend, everyone, and I hope these materials will be very useful for us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.